Okay. I'd like to welcome everybody to tonight's hearing of the zoning board of adjustment for the 16th of June 2015, and we'll call the meeting to order at 6:03 p.m. We have first case this evening is case number 15-09, a variance application pursuant to zoning article Roman numeral 2, paragraph 3.7, subparagraph G, and zoning article Roman numeral 2.3.10.5 to allow for a 65 square foot freestanding sign with electronic message board at 539 Laconia Road in the mixed use district, tax map R10/24. And is the applicant here?
Yes, yes,
You're Mr. Angelo?
yes.
Before I begin, you've probably noticed already that we do not have a full 5-member board. So
Oh, what?
we do not have a full 5-member board.
Okay.
We only have 4 members here, and one's on vacation. So it's incumbent on me to inform you that if you decide to proceed, you're going to need at least 3 votes in favor of your application to accept it.
Okay.
If you decide not to go that route, then we can continue to another date until we can get a full 5-member board. In any event, if your application is denied by the 4-member board that's here tonight, it can't serve, that fact can't serve as a reason for a rehearing. Is that clear?
Yeah.
You
Can we have
can't
a,
use that.
can we chat outside for 1 second? or-
Pardon me?
Can we just have a quick meeting outside?
Absolutely.
To decide whether we want
Thank
to
you,
do
sir. We'll take a brief break. Let's do that. While they're gone, let's go ahead and have a look at the minutes from our last meeting. I have those handy, and I don't know what I did with them.
Got plenty here.
I got them right here.
Oh, my gosh.
I had the same problem for some reason.
I have them all laid out.
Print some of my stuff.
What's that?
Couldn't print some of my
Oh,
stuff.
really?
Yeah,
Huh.
I could look at the map and that was it.
Yeah, I don't know. Right now, they escaped me. Thank you. Thanks so much.
Yeah, show up at the end.
So these are the.
When you can.
these-
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we do.
That's the way it happens. Okay, so let's have a look at the draft minutes from May 19th meeting to 2015. Has everyone that's here tonight had a chance to review those at home?
Yeah.
No, I wasn't here.
Do you want to take a minute to look through these? See that on page 2, the bottom? Right, see the condition that's on here? 12 chickens. So George won't be here
No,
again next month either?
Right. Yeah.
So we'll put this into August.
So, yeah,
Do you want to get in?
we better get some more numbers.
gotta get some alternates.
Mm,
Yeah, some people think they're gonna do this for they have 5
Been
members.
saying that for years, trying to come up with it.
Yeah.
Another thing you can't.
Are you good?
Sure.
Okay, anybody have any problems, corrections on these? We went ahead, we went ahead and tackled our minutes for the last meeting while you
That's
were
fine.
busy. We'll be right with you. If not, I'll accept the motion to accept the minutes as written.
I'll make that motion.
Very good. Motion made,
Second.
seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Done.
Done. Okay, gentlemen,
When will the next meeting be?
the next possibility for a 5-member board, unless we come up with some alternates in the interim, would be in August.
In August.
The same gentleman that's missing tonight will be missing in July as well, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your call. Mm-hmm. Go for it.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll be heard.
Thank you for giving us another.
Right, absolutely welcome. Very well, let's proceed then. So we have received a diagram that depicts approximately where the sign is going to go. We have the information on the size, and we have the variance application. Do you have anything that you'd like to add to that?
Sure, I have some additional site photos if that would help.
And your name, sir?
My name, I'm sorry, for the record, is Tim Sullivan.
Tim Sullivan?
I'm with Arlo Signs
Mhm.
out of Hudson, New Hampshire. These are some additional site photos that just kind of some street shots to get a little bit better feel. The proposed location of the sign would be in this area here. There's presently a pole here, but we don't believe that pole is strong enough to support.
Oh,
Yeah,
been there a long
exactly,
time.
to support our sign. So we're gonna just move it to clear the foundation of that existing sign. And one of the reasons that we've chosen that location for the sign is because it gives the sign a lot better visibility than where the present sign is. Unfortunately, with this sign at this location, motorists, gotta get my bearings straight, heading from
That
the
would be.
Laconia?
east, yeah, from Laconia, that's from the east, are actually by the entrances before they can even see the sign. There's a telephone pole that kind of blocks it as you're approaching in that direction, plus the road, you come up a grade at that part of the road. And then when you're heading in the other direction, there's a little bit of a tree line that kind of cuts into it here that obstructs visibility too. So we feel by moving it to that second location, we're gonna get a lot better visibility for the sign.
Seems to be some interest in the exact location of the property line over there. Catherine here has taken a photograph. Kathy took a photograph of the, from the road, looking at the existing pylon here, the old rusted one, by that telephone pole. And according to this overhead satellite photo, it shows the shadow of the telephone poles here. This would be over the property line, if that's been superimposed over the photograph, if that's the actual property line. It appears like it would be on the other property owner's land, if it's being placed right in here.
When we, this area here used to have like railroad ties around it, and when we actually pulled out these railroad ties because they were falling apart, there was a property stake embedded about.
Okay, so the pin is right in here?
It's about 2 feet to the right.
What do we have over here?
You can see it probably in one of these pictures. It's actually right here, I believe it is.
It's interesting that this shows the yellow line going right on this, on the other side of the pole.
Yeah, it's like, kind of like the property, if you're on my property, I'm a little lower, and then there's a slope. And right where the slope ends is, at the peak of it, lines up with that pin. Like exactly. Best I can tell is, the pin's been there for quite a long time. Because like I said, we actually unearthed it and didn't disturb it.
What is this painted mark on the asphalt?
This
Is
is
this utilities?
What this stuff is we actually have on the property test wells, from when there used to be a gas station at the old Fluffies.
Mhm. And that was a big problem.
Yeah.
I bet that was the gas station side too.
Oh, well,
I bet that was the old gas station side.
that could very well have been, yeah.
We've actually been battling these drainage problems just to get rid of repaved too.
Just for clarification, do you own this property now?
Yes,
Oh,
I have for about 3 years.
Okay. Okay.
Very good, sir. Go ahead. Sorry.
That's okay, that's okay. With regards to the sign, as the application states, we're seeking a 64.3 square foot sign that incorporates an electronic reader board on it. We feel the design is an upgrade from the existing design on the property. And the size of the design is in keeping with other signs of similar or greater size along that stretch of road in that part of town. The electronic message center is similar to other message centers that are in town. And we feel that's important to the business because it allows my client to make point of purchase advertising, if you will, to be able to change a message, to advertise a special, to do a seasonal special, because being a wood stove type of business, obviously it is a seasonal to some extent, and that allows them to do some additional advertising in the off seasons to attract attention to the sign. Again, we've incorporated the brick into the base, so it kind of has that country stove type of feel. And we feel that this type of sign would be a benefit to my client with regards to his business, to help him further grow it and succeed at that property. As you can tell from his building, he's done a lot of effort in cleaning up his property. He pays attention to his surrounding area, keeps it looking clean. So he does care about his building and his property, and he's just trying to add this additional touch to help grow his business.
And I think that, it'll also help us kind of clean up the road front as far as allowing us to eliminate the old sign, which is definitely seen better days, as well as update that post that's definitely seen better days as well. I know they've both been there for quite some time, probably.
What's the height of that existing sign right now?
The pole that's unused currently, or the market?
No, the other end of the property.
The other end of the property.
West end there now.
I want to say it's about 12 feet
12 feet?
to the bottom of the sign.
Okay. To the bottom of the sign?
Yep.
Didn't see that high to me when I drove by there.
Yeah, I just picture, we're talking about.
I guess so. Yeah.
12 feet,
Yeah.
I'm judging by how high I plowed the snowbank.
There's a temporary sign out there too, is that what we're saying?
Yeah, we have a, just a push out sign that we push out when we have sales and stuff, so like right now we're having a little sale.
Do you have a permit for that?
I do not.
How long has it been out there?
I put it on and off number of times a year to the whole business. The big thing that we've had an issue with is, a large part of the reasoning for this sign, to be honest, is we've been there for 5 years now, and we do a pretty good business. And believe it or not, even with the exposure that's there, we still have, I had someone come in today and go, how long have you guys been here? I drive by here every day and I never noticed you guys. So we're just trying to up that, so that And, you know, at the same time, I don't wanna make anything gaudy or, you know, hurt the area. So we're here today, so I can talk to you guys and see what we can do about both working together.
Do you realize to begin with that the ordinance, number one, does require a permit for any temporary signage you put out?
Okay.
I mean, I don't know whether you're aware of that or not, but it does. That would be something you don't want to get through the building inspector.
Okay. He's been out, I apologize, I didn't know. He's been out because he's helped me through a couple of things, like we've talked about property line stuff and stakes, Al, I think his name is, right?
Mhm.
Al Plant. And he's a great guy. I usually consult with him over stuff. And I didn't know personally, and it's something I should have checked into definitely.
At one point with the electronic reader board, that would be a non-issue. You would not need that type of signage, because basically that's serving the purposes to what he's looking to do with the municipal center.
I understand what you're saying, but that's essentially taking that which would be available by permit only,
Mhm.
and now you're wanting to make a permanent situation on it, on the post board. In addition to that, because this is a mixed-use zone, you're already allowed to go from mixed-use size signage up to regional commercial, which just gives you 40 square feet to begin with. And what you're asking for is another 50% over top of that. And the business itself is really only about 30 feet from the back of the road. So I question whether there's a validity to asking for that much more when you're already allowed to go as much as a regional commercial is allowed.
If we were to lower that to the 40, I mean, you know, whatever we have to do to make, you know, the adjustments, we're more than willing to do. You know, I want to more or less work with you guys and find out what is within our reasons to do. I apologize for not better knowing that. Just
Okay, well, we're just here talking facts and statistics here.
But I also think there's a lot of signs in that area, albeit grandfathered, that are similar or larger in size, where this one is yes, larger than what is allowed today. But
Yeah, that's all fine. I mean, yeah, I understand what you're saying. There are larger signs, but this board tries to take these things, especially sign issues, on a case-by-case basis.
understood.
We're not, you know, we're careful not to try to set precedences or anything like that.
Right.
It depends on the business itself, and how it's oriented, what the visibility is going east and west, and so on and so forth. All those factors are involved. So, those are the facts that we're looking at. But I appreciate what you said. I know there's a lot of other big signs.
Keep in mind also that you do have the ability to use the face of the building for additional signage too, according to the ordinance. Just if you.
Yeah, no, I know.
For special, whatever, I mean, you can put a picture of a stove out there, or, you know, things of that nature.
And I've thought of that. The only thing I run into with that is because, like you mentioned, my close proximity to the road. My close proximity to the road causes when you drive by to not even see the front of the building.
I'm not suggesting that you not have a sign, I'm just saying you could do that in
Yeah.
addition to what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, without about, if you were gonna put a 40 square foot sign, you wouldn't even be here tonight. You go ahead and do it, or you get your permit for the sign. There's two different permits I'm talking about. One is for temporary signage, but even if you put a regular sign out there, you still need a permit to do
Yes.
that. Actually, you might even need a site plan to do that. Because I don't think a site plan's ever been done there. Normally, if there's a change or expansion of use of any commercial site, a site plan is something that would generally be required. And I know there's been a lot of businesses there in the past, go back 37 years, and there's been a lot there. And signs have come and gone before the current ordinances were in effect that really weren't governed one way or the other, weren't controlled one way or the other. Anyway, what we're really here tonight, I think, is from the ZBA, if you'll agree with me, is that the size of the signage is really the primary variance request. that is something I think we really have to consider, because the way the Superior Court has ruled in the past, and the Supreme Court seems to follow through, is that if you get approved for excess signage, then anybody can then, next to you, can come in and claim the same thing, that they've got it there and I'm in the same zone, why can't I have it?
Yeah.
So going down that road can be a rather slippery slope for the town, and end up looking like Highway 1 in San Jose. It's, but anyway,
I did also, oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, that's all right.
I do also know that there were a couple butters that had voiced some concern, one of which Mr. Milton.
I'll get to them
Okay.
in a bit, yeah.
Okay.
Trying to follow protocol.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Give you folks a first shot at it. Did you have anything else you wanted to add, Mr. Sullivan?
No, that hasn't been on our application, so I think you've all had a chance to read it.
Yeah, well, I'll be reviewing the 5 criteria shortly. My copy's a little bit difficult to read, I don't know, do you have one that's a little clearer over here? This came in on the fax, so it's kind of,
Oh, yeah, then this should be much better. Would you mind handing that to me?
I'm gonna
Thank you.
need that in a minute. Thank you.
And Chairman Brown, could I speak?
Yes, go ahead.
I just want to make sure, because of the way I wrote the case, the agenda, that it's clear that there are 2 elements that are being sought.
Yeah,
2
we're
elements, really, okay.
certainly aware that.
Okay, thank you.
The electronic message board is a sort of subordinate to the oversized
Okay.
aspect of it right now.
All right.
We'll deal with that first.
All right.
And if we get that far, then we'll deal with the electronic message board. But thank you.
Sure.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
That's a little bit better copy. I think I can handle this one. So that's the essence of your testimony, Ross,
Yes.
other than what we have in front of us here. Thank you very
One
much.
other,
Go ahead, did you have something else you wanted to add?
one other thing that is a little bit of a concern for me, I know the light aspect isn't desirable for everybody. On that portion of the building, the reason why I really like the idea of having a light sign or something there is from a security aspect as well. We do have a light to the rear parking lot that does shine to the back parking lot to help us with security at night. Something that we'd want to do to appease everybody is obviously shut the sign down at night, the light end of it, so that it's not offending anybody. But in those in-between dusk hours, we've actually had robberies that have come from that side of the property off of Church Street. We actually had one walk right through that area on Church Street.
Wow.
And they hit us for like $100,000 with the merchandise at the back of our house. So I'm hoping, I even had someone jump on the roof and steal the chimneys at dusk one time. So I'm hoping that these are, hopefully a little bit of light there up until, those hours will hopefully deter something from occurring again. So that's just one more aspect that I'm looking at with it.
you're suggesting here that the sign would put out light to cover the area? Is that what you're
Will not
saying?
cover the area, but it's going to obviously illuminate its immediate area and hopefully deter people from going back. And Tilton Police could even tell you they've been out to me for illegal dumping, for robberies. We've had break-ins on that side of the building. And we've done cameras, we've done, way rear lights, but, short of, anything else in that area, especially due to the fact that the old Fluffy's property is vacant, run down, and we've literally chased homeless people out of there. There is no light in that lot at dusk, which does create an issue if someone's trying to gain access from the property through that lot at night. I mean, I have cameras that are facing as far as they can go, but there's still blind spots, obviously. But just from that aspect, just to toss that out there, that is one of the things that I looked at.
And I think one thing too, that a lit sign almost shows a sign of life, if you will. If the sign's lit, you never know if someone's gonna be inside. When you have a
Tends to
dark,
indicate there's activity there.
when you have a dark property, it's a little bit different.
Absolutely. Okay, well,
Thank you.
we will close this portion of the hearing, and then I'll I'll go ahead and open up to public sentiment. Normally we have, I offer that to response for people in favor, but we don't have anybody but one gentleman here tonight. And I got the impression that you want to speak in opposition to this.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Go ahead, proceed, sir.
I'm Leon Moon.
Leon
I
Moon.
own the house right behind Fluffy's, and actually Angelo bought the property for my family, and he's been a great neighbor. We all like it, you know, they're doing a good job there, but
Yeah.
the problem that I have with the place where he wants to put that sign is that from my living room, I can see that sign straight through my window. It's about 60 yards. And my TV's here, the window's here, and the sign is gonna be right there, flashing like a Christmas tree, perhaps all night. I don't know what the situation is, but that's the reason. He's got the rest of his property lit up is fine. I know, because the burglaries that he's talking about, they had probably went through my backyard to have access to his property, and I'm all for security. But the placement of that flashing light sign is gonna be a constant irritation to me, because I'm gonna be sitting there looking at it every night. Unless I put a blackout curtain there, you know, or something, and so I'm asking you to, you know.
Is that your living room side, is that what you're
Yes, it
saying?
is, and not only that, but my medical condition, I can't sleep in a bed, so I have my recliner there, and I actually sleep there, right in front of that window. And so if that sign is going at night, it's gonna be an irritation to me, personally. You know, otherwise, he can do anything he wants, and, you know, with my blessing. But it's just that spot, that one spot, if he moved it somewhere else, then I wouldn't have a problem with it, but it's really, that's my concern.
You seem to place a lot of emphasis on flashing. You know they can't have flashing lights, don't you?
Well, if it's a message board, don't they, you know, they're bright lights, maybe they're not flashing.
They can't move.
Yeah, well, okay, just the same, and if it's a glow, you know, and obtuse glow or something like that, it's not, but the lights right there that's my concern, that they're gonna keep me up and they're gonna aggravate me, and otherwise, he can put a sign anywhere he wants, as long as I can't see it when I'm trying to sleep.
I mean, I understand what your concern is. How far away from the sign are you?
I'd say 60 yards, maybe 70, you know, and it's just where it is between my barn and the derelict Fluffy's building. There's the area there, and that's my direct line of sight, you know, when I'm sitting in my living room. So, and it hasn't been there before, so, you know, that's my concern for what it's worth.
Thank you, Mr. Moon. Okay, understand. Anybody have any questions, Mr. Moon?
Based upon what we're talking about now, the question being posed, if you will, is really something relative to a site plan,
Yeah.
not.
You mean the placement of
planning
the,
board.
placement of the sign?
Yeah,
Right.
we really have any business making that call unless we approve
No, we
something
don't.
other than what they're already allowed.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah,
So, I mean, that could be an issue for the planning board.
yeah, absolutely, I agree.
And that's where essentially your point that you're trying to make comes into play relative to who really has authority over making that placement.
I've lived there for since 1991. And my parents lived on one side, I lived on the other, and now we've moved over to that side, you know. So, but we've been there a long time. My father has owned that property since 1960 something. So.
I remember Moon's
Yeah, Keith
Moon's
Moon.
Radio Shack for years. and-
Rock Moon was my brother. You know.
Yeah.
Used to be a big happy family, not so big anymore. So.
No, I understand what you're saying, but the point I'm trying to make is that this board is really only have certain oversight, if you will, of that which the variance encompasses. Okay, well, when we start talking about where the sign goes, We can't do that. Unless we were to approve something that's a specifically more than what is allowed by ordinance, then we can get into where it goes, okay? But otherwise, it becomes if he was doing a site plan, for example, for the planning board, not the zoning board, then it's a question where you pose your concerns that the planning board can rightfully take into consideration. Okay, but otherwise, the issue is beyond this board. So we just want to do. I mean, we appreciate what you're saying.
Thank you for letting me say my piece.
And,
No, the testimonies could be valuable depending on how this goes.
because it could relate to size too. And that would
Yes,
be-
Mr. Angelo.
I'm sorry. And I had talked to Mr. Moon, and obviously we want to keep everyone happy in the area. And what I discussed with him on the way in too, as well as when I discussed with Marlo, science reps, is, possibly doing something like, to appease everyone, make everyone happy. We want him to be, he's one of my customers. We could do something like shutting down the board at, a certain time each night. Like, once it gets to that past dark time, say like 9 o'clock or something, you kill it so that way it's not intruding on him or anything or inconveniencing him.
Sure.
Because we want to be good neighbors too.
Okay, thank you.
But the possibility of shielding.
I thought about that, and he's worried about the glow too, though. Hey, different options. I'm willing to do whatever. We talked about on the way in. They said, whatever you're going to be good with, so that we can all come to an agreement and understanding and keep everyone happy. I don't want to be that guy that's like, all the neighbors hate me because, he can't sleep at night and stuff. I don't want that. Obviously, I want to better my business, but not at the cost of one of my neighbors.
Sure. Also, at this time, I wanted to read into the record an email that was forwarded to the town hall from Mr. Mr. Kelts, Donald Kelts, from Kent, Washington. Obviously, he couldn't be here. Who owns the property that the old Fluffy's establishment sits on. And it's dated June 16th, came in at 4:23 a.m. in the morning. And it's addressed to Dari and members of the Zoning Board of Adjustment. And he says, thanks for sending these papers on case 15-09. After review and as owner of the adjacent property under my limited liability company name D.Ivan K. LLC, I must object to the current proposal for a sign variance. The proposed new sign and location is too close to the street and too close to my property line. It will obscure any signage that my future buyer may wish to legally place on my property. May I suggest the sign could be placed where the current sign resides and not interfere with my future signage. If it must be located on my property side, then the usual setbacks must apply. Thanks for your consideration, considered judgment. Donald I. Kelts. He's represented locally by Karen LaFlamme, Realtor. Okay. So that's that.
Should we get,
Can I speak to my response to that, Chance?
Absolutely. Sure.
I guess I was most shocked to see that one. I got notice of it this afternoon. Because I familiarized myself with him. I know he's out of Washington. He's never been on the property. I think he's owned it for about 4 years. I guess it was the most, I don't want to use the word irritating, but the fact that that property is completely unmaintained and may as well be abandoned. And for safety reasons, I actually maintain most of that property, including plowing the whole place for a public throughway that it is, as well as he even had trees go down in the parking lot this year, and no response, no one to call. We paid a logger to come out and chop up the trees that were on my property and his. So So I guess to have a place that I'm chasing homeless people out of with a cave roof and cave doors, objecting to someone trying to better it for an existing business in hopes of turning a dime on it down the road someday kind of irritated me. I know that's neither here nor there, but I just had to voice my opinion. I'm sure Mr. Moon would say the same displeasure about the state of the property over there and what we deal with on a day-to-day basis.
No, you're to be commended on the fact that you're keeping up what you can over there, just so it doesn't become negative to your business. There's no question about that.
Could I make another point with regards to Mr. Moon's concerns about the brightness of the sign, if you will? These types of electronic reader boards have a dimming feature that's built into them, because at night they obviously run dimmer than they do during the daytime. If they run 100%, or not even 100, during the daytime they probably run at 80% brightness. At night they usually tone down to 20%. But my client's going to have the ability to dim that sign even more at night if the neighbors come over and say, that's still pretty bright during the nighttime hours that he's going to have it on. He will have the ability to keep ratcheting it down until he can get to a hopefully a happy medium where it's not too bright, but it's bright enough for passing motorists to see. The unfortunate thing is a lot of message boards in town, in the state, people aren't taking that function to the next step. And I think that's one reason that a lot of times these boards get a bad rap, because they're not using them to the best of their ability. So I think the fact that these boards can be toned down will help Mr. Moon possibly some if he's got that brightness issue and the glowing issue. And my client said he's more than willing to turn off the board portion to help reduce that brightness. I mean, and if you look at the actual sign face, from the nighttime view, half the sign is black, if you will. And just half will be the illuminated white. The second half will just have the copy illuminated. So again, it's. I'm not saying it's going to be a dark sign, but it's still going to be a little bit more subtle than a full white face sign would be. So that's just some other food for thought for the board.
Mm-hmm. My one experience when I was building inspector here was just up the road from you with the auto place. Winspawn Auto, yes. The owner of at that point in time had his electronic sign where he kept the background as white, and the problem it was presenting was the fact that on a foggy night, and this is how it came to my attention, is that somebody said, I was coming up the road and all of a sudden here's this white sign in a foggy, let's face it, even your headlights, you don't put them on bright because they blind you. He said, I immediately had to step on the brakes because all of a sudden I could no longer see the road.
Right.
And it was all because, so I went out and talked with the gentleman and he understood where we were going. But I mean, this is the type of thing that once it leaves this purview in our, whether it be here or the planning board, we don't become involved necessarily unless complaints come in, and is it something that can be changed?
Right.
And sometimes there's issues that there really is no solution to, because it's the individual controlling the sign or other, whatever the case may be, that it's their responsibility to maintain it. Otherwise it gets involved with court action. I've never seen it go that far. It could.
Right.
So I mean, that to me would be one reason to keep in mind that whatever you put up there for a kind of sign, I mean, let's face it, you're certainly entitled to have a sign, without question. How much of a problem that sign's going to present to everyone around it or the traveling public is going to be in your hands. And that's something that you have to be aware of. So I'll get that off the box now.
As that with the old great power comes great responsibility.
If there's no other testimony, then for or against, or from you folks, I'll close the hearing to public sentiment at this time. And go ahead and review, board can review the 5 tests for the variance that you've submitted, and then deliberate. Does that sound good?
So,
Okay.
you're the boss.
I'll go through them one by one. Okay, the applicant has responded in the following manner to test number 1, granting the variance would not be contrary to the public interest because the answer is proposed sign is informative and an upgrade to the existing sign. And the second test, if the variance were granted, the spirit of the ordinance would be observed because fire and stone will be allowed the signage needed to identify their site within their highly commercial neighborhood, while presenting a sign which is attractive and modern, a benefit to the neighborhood. Test number 3, granting the variance would do substantial justice because the answer is the proposed sign would allow this business adequate signage to attract wayfinding public. Thank you. While also adding clean, clear signage, which is a positive addition to Laconia Road. Did I get that right?
Yep.
Number 4, if the variance were granted, the values of the surrounding properties would not be diminished because attractive, up-to-date signage which increases business and cleans up existing signage has a positive effect on surrounding businesses. Is that correct?
Yes.
And unnecessary hardship, the last one. Paragraph A states, owing to a special condition of the property which distinguish it from other properties in the area, denial of the variance would result in unnecessary hardship because subparagraph 1, or Roman numeral I, no fair or substantial relationship exists between the general public purposes of the ordinance provision and the specific application of that provision to the property because, and the applicant's answer is, currently numerous businesses enjoy signs 2 and 3 times larger than allowed by code. Grandfathering of larger signs, previous variances granted and existing non-conforming signs allow for other businesses to have much more beneficial signage than new businesses may have. This creates an unfair advantage over new businesses and businesses
Looking to improve their visibility. I should have had you read this. Thank you. I've read Jen's handwriting before.
In Roman numeral 2, subparagraph Roman numeral 2, the proposed use is a reasonable one because our proposal is not significantly larger than what is permitted. Numerous larger signs exist in Tilton. Electronic technology can be controlled and operated so our proposal functions and is more attractive than manual means allowed by the ordinance. Manual means allowed by the ordinance, what's that mean?
That's like a
Regular
manual
sign.
reader board type of changing.
Okay, thanks. And subparagraph B is is vacant, so. I'm not responding to it, okay. All right. Okay, so we've gone through those. Any thoughts? Any opinions? Any concerns?
Yeah. I don't know whether we've done enough discussion relative to the electronic sign. That it- What are you anticipating it's going to do, for example?
There would obviously be no blinking, flashing, scrolling, or animation.
Right.
And our proposal is to have a 5-second change where the message will fade on, be stationary for 5 seconds, and then fade off, and a new message would fade on, and be stationary for 5 seconds, and then fade off.
It would also substantially help us on that aspect with the seasonality part of our business. Since we do have different facets depending on the time of year, to just put like one thing, in a hard copy sign might cover us for, a quarter of the year. Whereas, wintertime we are chimney sweeping stoves, summertime we are rebuilding chimneys, we are still sweeping them too. But lining chimneys, doing outdoor hardscapes, so it's something to allow us to promote our business in each avenue without having to have, a sign that's the size of a building to illustrate everything that we do. It helps us to show, that traffic coming in, let's say, people either traveling to and from Tilton that are local to go to the great spots like the outlet mall or to, the grocery store, as well as the seasonal people who are coming off of 93 and going down Route 3 to go to their seasonal homes, albeit summer or winter, for us to be able to show what we're doing at that time of year to promote us a little better.
So if you had a normal 5x8 sign for 40 square feet, you couldn't fit all that in there, the message board and the name of your business above it?
To say you couldn't, sure you could. The problem is, I think that the name of the business copy would be awful small, be tough to read. As it is now, some of that copy of the custom stove and chimney service is only 3-inch high letters. So that's more of a sub-category than the actual names of the letters. But, I mean, the fire and stone letters are 9.5 inches now, so if you were to reduce it, say, by a third, then you're starting to get those down to 6-inch letters, which tends to be a little bit small for readability.
What about reducing the size of the message board?
To be honest, I want to work with you guys. I mean, we could, this is just me talking offhand, but I don't know if this would reduce. But what if we took this, treated it as let's just have like one line underneath, that says chimney stoves, fireplaces. And that may reduce our overall, presence for that, but still, since it's round, give us
Major brand.
draw the eye to people to be able to do that.
Would you rather reduce the top sign and keep the message board the size, or?
Yeah, I mean, and we might even be able to, what I'm saying is, let me see this pin real fast. So let's say instead of that square sign like this, with this here and then, this side here,
Yeah.
what I'm thinking is if we just take this circle and have it like this, with one, separately board underneath, that just says, our stoves,
Coming on full bright
Yeah.
and
chimney.
fog, it became a hazard, it's a significant traffic hazard.
masonry.
Right.
That's what I have a problem with.
So, you know,
Things on
logos
the
here,
board,
which has our name,
They're
this is
distracting to
here.
the traffic.
And then we have
Safety
this,
point of view.
which
And
would
they're
probably
especially
reduce
fog
that.
conditions,
My guess is by
downright
Google.
dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah, because it senses that there's not enough lights and it increases it.
No, it's
Yeah.
just, it's done that way by computer.
Oh, it
From
is.
the computer inside the store,
Mhm.
it's set it up to do that.
I see.
Your dog served too. His was really bright.
So it is.
Dog served.
Auto-
I-
It was like,
Yeah. And it's, what if we kind of, you know, to take down the square footage on it, obviously, you know, I want us all to work together, as opposed to having something that's, you know, very large like this, that has our logo here and then a bunch of writing here. What I was thinking we could possibly do to reduce the size of that is to have a circle sign that just has this logo in it, basically. So that's eliminating a whole lot of the rest of this border all around it.
Iron stone logo?
Yep, so basically we take the logo and put it into a circle, and then just have a separate little lit board right here that just says stoves, chimney, masonry, which is the things that we do. And then create the message board underneath, and that should probably drop that down, my guess is by a good 15 feet.
15 square feet, yeah, so that's what I was thinking, if we reduce the sign down to a 50 square foot sign. Yes, we're still 10 square feet over what's allowed, but I think we could probably either take it out of the message board. The problem with message boards are that they come in standard tile sizes. It's how they're made up with tiles. So I believe the tiles are, well, I'm not sure of the resolution of this one. Oh, it's a 60 millimeter. So the tiles are 10 inches. So you can't just cut 5 inches off the message board. You have to cut at the 10-inch increments.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, if it's a situation where there's gonna be a message static for 5 or even 10 seconds, the 3 lines is definitely more beneficial because you're allowed to have a message that can be read for that amount of time. If you were gonna be scrolling through messages, sure, you can get away with a smaller board because you can jump to the next message, but because it's gonna be static while the vehicle passes, I think it's important to have a decent sized board that allows your message to be read. It's amazing when you start playing with
What would
words
the
in that
height
kind of
be on
space.
a 50 square foot
You mean for a 50 square foot sign?
or a sign?
Well, I'm thinking that I would keep probably the board the same size and reduce the top sign, which is right now it's a 4x8.
And even if we took down, if we do the circle and eliminate the
Yeah.
square footage from the
Yeah,
sides,
just
Yeah.
recap it.
even if we took this
Yeah.
down a little bit to appease the height.
Is that what he's referring to?
Got the wrong glasses with me.
So what do you?
I was saying, if we do something like this, we're gonna eliminate square footage, but the height's still gonna be, you know, about the same, maybe even, 5-6 inches higher. So what I was saying is we can take down the actual post height to appease any height, requirements. or
Are you talking the overall height or the height of the sign?
Just the sign itself. I'm thinking going back to the original location in my mind right now.
Mhm.
What would it take to get that sign to be more visible in the current
It
situation?
would be eliminating that telephone pole. I'm sorry.
At that end of the property?
That's the main problem is, like as you see in here, this is basically a view from the breakdown lane.
Have you contacted power company at all about that?
The problem is it runs the power to the back of my building, to the rear warehouse, because it is something I had explored. And it actually runs the power to the light that I paid them to keep on for security purposes. There's a secondary pole on the backside of the lot.
Yeah.
So this line actually runs to about right here. There's a pole with a spotlight that I pay PSNH to just power on when the light goes out. And then from that pole, it actually powers to, do you have a picture of, I took this really quick today, I apologize for not being a little more organized with them. You can see it here. Goes to this pole, which provides the spotlight to the back building, and then that actually provides the power to the back building. that's my only, I did think of that, trust me, I'm trying to do anything I can to, you know, obviously make this happen and make everyone happy. And no matter which way I view this, if you're in the opposite lane, anything else, by the time you view the sign, you're already by the business is the problem. Whereas, you know,
Which direction are you traveling now?
if you're coming from,
Because the day you opened up, I spotted your building, you know, without any problem going westbound. Coming
was
back
back
from
towards
work,
Laconia or
going towards Tilton.
towards Tilton.
And I came up over the hill there, you know, I said, whoa, brand new business, you know.
That's the
So
spot
that
that,
wasn't any problem.
that's the spot that most people tell us they can't see. And we're just going by basically.
Really?
Yeah, that's what
Going
customers-
west?
They say by the time they get over the hill, you know, they're doing, you know, 40, 45, hopefully no more than that. By the time they get up
Can't
over the
believe
hill,
that. It's almost in your face going
Yeah,
westbound.
I
Take
would think it
notice.
would be the other way,
I would too.
because there's so much empty space there.
Mhm.
Because I always look, oh my God, Fluffy said, oh, there's
Yeah.
fire and stuff.
and see, another obstacle that we run into, which I went over with like Al and stuff, is these side ones we have here to just draw a little attention in. But you can't see it here, but the property actually dips down in my
Right.
property, so you can't see any of these right here until you're like on the business basically. Because I look at people and I'm not gonna lie, I get irritated sometimes. They come in and they're like, oh, did you just move in here? And I'm like, we've been here for 5 years. We've been voted #1 stove shop in the Lakes region for 4 of them. But it's just funny because it's little things like that. So that's one of the reasons, because obviously I would prefer to keep the sign there from a cost-effective standpoint, you know, because it's obviously much more cost-effective for us to do
So
something.
you're talking about this pole down the road here that's blocking the view of your sign?
This one, I mean, coming into here, there is also this one. This sign actually has a sign on it too, saying that there's a road sign, saying that there's like a blind, you can see it here. Yep, so it's actually like right in eye's view of that sign on the other side.
Seems like you'd have to be awful far back in order for that to block that sign. That road's pretty wide in that particular area.
I feel the same way, and I've thought it to myself many a times, because I would love to not spend money on relocation and signage. And it's just from, at first, you know, the first couple of years, we were like, oh, they just don't know. Oh, this, now we're at a point where we're like, geez, we gotta do something to let people know that we're here. And obviously, you see, we've tried within restraints. I do have a permit for this sign out front here. This one was grandfathered in because this was just an old one that was there, previous businesses. We've done stuff like, you know, there's an open sign that lights up and go into over here, open flags, and this is basically our, wow, we need to do something. Because we've basically exhausted all options within the realm of, you know, not. There's obviously much other things I'd like to spend money on, like repaving my parking lot. Which is next on the list.
Sign is a solution to your sale problems?
Well, it's not necessarily a sell problem, it's just, to be honest, like, we'll even give people like directions to get to us. And it's funny because the #1 landmarks that works is, it used to be the lobster on top of the roof at Shalimar, and now we say, we're right next to that really rundown abandoned building. And they'll still come in, you know, we get people that drive up here from Nashua and stuff, you know, from out of state, save on sales tax, and they'll call me and be like, I've driven up and down the road 3 times, and I'm like, I'm in the big yellow building. And me, myself, I would be able to find it, but I'm just going by what we're being told by the public.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson.
Thank you.
To call for photographs. A couple of sign superimposed.
Keep in mind too, that when we're talking along these lines, we're talking about where the sign is gonna go. Okay? And that's really not what's really before this board,
I know that.
you know? So I mean, should that really, depending what we were to approve or disapprove relative to signs and signage, then if you're gonna allow something more than what's allowed in the ordinance, then if you wanna build a location, of the sign, or how it should be presented, that would be a logical way to go. I don't think it's appropriate for us to go out and look at it, because we're not the planning board.
It wouldn't do any good for us to go out there and stand in the parking lot with this thing.
No.
No, I'm not talking about that, I'm talking about taking photos from
Going out
down here,
over.
down there, up top of the hill, the way traffic safety. With this proposed sign, whatever we approve, if it's oversized, superimposed on us like other sign companies do, so we can see what they're seeing. Because I know what I see when I drive up there, and I don't have an issue with it at all. But obviously some people do. I don't know. I wish we had that with us tonight, it would make the decision a lot easier. For me anyways.
The decision to go where with it, to getting the size or
Yeah.
location.
Well, we're beginning to compromise on size here, and that's a good sign. No pun intended.
Give me 20 minutes, I'll go take pictures.
But if we do go oversized, then we gotta concern ourselves with the location and the setbacks and everything else.
Not setbacks.
Well,
Nothing
no
in the ordinance says you can't put them in setbacks.
That's true.
I know people tend to think that there is, but there isn't. None that I've ever been able to locate. I guess, my inclination is really that I'm troubled by the reader board,
Yeah.
okay? Because just as you're sitting here describing it to us about it moving and changing for the traffic, I don't even want to say that, but let's just say that it has been determined in the past that anything distracting to the traffic is not good for the traffic. And if somebody's come cruising along and they're trying to read the sign and it's changing, then they're changing their speed or whatever, it's taking their eyes off what's in front of them on the road. And we should not be approving that kind of signage. And from my experience, the one up on further above you going towards Laconia, there was a fairly large sign up there by Major Brands, which is an electronic sign. And for a while, they had a moving thing, and I noticed it doesn't do that anymore, so apparently they found that.
Yeah, it goes to the 5 seconds now.
It does change 5 seconds, for the scenery part?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
basically, it advertises the different businesses, so it's about a 5-second, I believe, pause. And then it goes to another businesses, there's typically like 5 businesses that I think advertise them there each month.
And I haven't noticed that. I'm usually driving by it, so I'm not there to observe everything that it does.
Yeah.
But I know it is, and any sign like that is distracting, including the one we had for the fireworks out there on 140. So that's something I think we gotta keep in mind. I personally don't like reader boards that are controlled like that, because I think they are a distraction.
Are you familiar with this last sentence in 4.3? Commercial districts proposing structures in the setback areas are subject to site plan approval, and off-street parking and retaining walls within designated setbacks may be allowed by special exception only. That doesn't pertain, but this structure, sign is a structure. So if they get into the setback, then it tells me they're gonna have to have a site plan review. You agree? You wanna look at it, 4.3?
4.3.
There it is. Special exception only pertains to parking, off-street parking and retaining walls. But where a sign is a structure, if they get into the setback, you're gonna have to have site plan approval.
commercial districts proposing structures in the setback areas are subject to site plan approval on off-street and off-street parking and retaining wall, meeting all three of those things. Within the designated setbacks may be allowed by special exception only. We're not dealing with a special exception tonight.
No?
And we understand that if we do encroach into the setback area, we are going to,
You gotta come back here again,
yes.
Site
Special
plan.
Planning board, planning.
Site plan.
not for special exception.
Not for special exception,
Come back
site
here.
plan review.
Says
Yeah,
that,
but we would
says that
say site
structures
plan.
in the setback area are subject to site plan approval.
That's planning board.
That's planning.
With the special exception,
So,
You don't need to-
that would be for parking and retaining walls.
no, it
No,
also be,
that's,
also be for structures in the setback areas,
Mm.
okay?
Oh, no, I don't know.
So-
Well, we would leave that up to the planning board to.
You go to the planning board, and then the planning board's gonna send you back here,
Maybe.
because you need a special exception.
Maybe. I
They
don't
might send you
know.
back here first, what?
The wording is kind of.
No, that's,
4.3,
yeah, and it's the off-street parking and retaining walls within the designated setbacks that should be allowed by special exception.
read the
So
last,
that's the way I
read the
read it,
last
so.
4 lines.
That's a.
What do you
that's
mean? I mean, commercial districts proposing structures in the setback areas are subject to site plan approval.
And-
There's one phrase.
Right.
They should have taken
then
the
another-
word "and" out of there and just started off.
Or
with
put a
capital
comma or
O.
something to make it more clear,
Yeah.
the way I'm interpreting it, and then they're saying, okay, that's one thing, and another thing, off-street parking and retaining walls are special exception.
That's the way I interpret it. But at any rate, they're gonna have to go to the planning board for any encroachment in the setbacks first. Whether or not the board sends it back to us, I don't know.
Okay, I see your point. Yeah, yeah, I see your point.
I see your point too, it's not.
So, for the time being, then, we're not talking about getting into the setback.
No, I'm talking about the actual location, correct?
Because that's, what, 20 feet from the edge of the road?
Yes, I believe it is.
One of the diagrams says 16, another says 19.
Yeah, well, that's, 16 is to the northernmost end of their sign. But if it's on a post, the post,
Is there another? That's high.
post might be right on the edge of 20 feet, is that the plan? Yeah.
Yes.
So the pole for it would be right on 20 feet. Whatever. See that? Okay. Oh, gosh. We got 2 abutters that are concerned. What to do, what to do. Let us think for a minute.
Yeah.
What did you want to say, sir?
I just wanted to just address the butter portion, because obviously Mr. Moon is here, and, you know, just to see if he was confident that we were able to find a solution for him. I think the other situation isn't dealing with necessarily the side size or the setback.
Well, we'll keep Mr. Moon's comments in mind about the illumination areas, for sure. I don't know, I'll tell you what I'd like to do, guys. I'd like to have them come back with 2 sets of photographs. One with a reduced sign in the new location that's proposed. Traffic heading east and traffic heading west, with those signs superimposed on it. And new dimensions, 50 square feet. And a second set showing how visible they are in the current, would be in the current location. Same set.
to expand from what you're saying, if we were to go that direction, I'd like to see what the sign would look like if it was the allowed 40 square feet.
Okay, we can do that
To
too.
see what the visibility would be,
Do that too.
just how much can the traffic see, and it's not.
So stay with the current location at 40 feet?
No, don't. Yes, they're allowed 40 square feet. Now, they wanted to vote that entire thing to their logo and
Reader?
yeah, the stove shop and whatever they want to put underneath that, but not a reader board. They vote that to the 40 square feet. They'd be allowed another 40 square feet if they had a standing reader board down below, like, you know, the yellow signs that people use. They're not visibly changed. You don't have any electronic stuff at all to change from traffic point of view. That way he gets good visibility for the sign for his business. Okay, and he's allowed the other temporary sign to be out there like he's got now. He has no permit.
I'll correct that tomorrow.
It sounds reasonable. That's another good option too. How do you guys feel about that? You want to come back and deal with this at a later date? With some new information?
That's fine.
Is
I
it?
don't like Joe's idea of the yellow.
Well, it's just an
yellow
option.
sign.
It's just an option. We can decide on that when they do it. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
You'd rather see a regular reader board, electronic.
But I'm not so crazy about that either, but the yellow signs, to me, he's trying to improve the property and make it look better, and those yellow signs don't do anything to the property.
No,
They just kind of trash it up.
they're kind of gross.
He's trying to present something. I'm not crazy about the reader boards, but I don't know what the solution is.
Well, maybe the solution would be to think in terms of how changeable the reader board is. When I say that, you're talking 5 seconds. I don't like that at all. To me, that's distracting
We went to like 10 or
to driving product.
Yeah, but that
Once
could
a
be
minute,
a-
once a minute, for example. At one time, there was in the ordinance, and that's since been changed, where you could do that, but it couldn't change more than once a minute. Okay, so it would be there, and people will drive it by, they could
Yeah,
see
5
the,
seconds is an awful
see the
fast
couple of words,
rotation.
what it is. I mean, let's face it, showing flashcards to the public as they're driving by, to me, is not necessarily a good approach to advertising the product.
Yeah, I mean, once a minute isn't bad. I mean, we would totally be acceptable to that. That was our stipulation.
Then they can actually read the whole thing before it's finished.
What's the date of our next-
Read it and digest it.
our third
Yeah.
Tuesday?
You know, what
I can almost read it from here.
what?
That's July. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
July.
why don't you now?
Hey,
Yeah, you're talking next
oh, we're
month.
the 16th.
Wood?
21st.
You're like, is that the right year?
August 25. September's back down to 4.
Right, because I don't think
Okay.
July
Thank you.
21st, sorry.
Here's what's going through my mind. We're gonna go for the read board type approach on the basis, but cut it down to, now it's 40, if you had a 6x8 sign, something similar, they give you 48 square feet to work with. And you could utilize that, however it is, as far as the 2.5, or however they would want to set it up, about 48 square feet. And the bottom of that being a reader board, it would only change once a minute. Would you feel about something like that?
Well, that sounds very nice if it's acceptable to the applicant.
Well, yeah, I'm just, we can throw it out there.
Yeah, I'm definitely.
Identification, we're trying not to give away the store here.
No, no,
And I think we have to keep in mind everybody involved. And,
I appreciate you guys wanting us to work with this one.
that's the,
Yeah, we try to do that, we could just, you know, refuse to go anywhere with it, send you down the road, but if we can make everybody happy, then.
Trust me, you're a very accommodating board. I mean, I
Thanks.
appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
So if you cut the sign or made the sign like the round with the,
I think that'll cut a substantial amount. Like I was saying, basically, instead of having, can I just grab that picture? And actually,
You're gonna really cramp your logo.
well, what I was thinking is if you take a look at this,
It's gonna eliminate this part.
we're gonna eliminate like the whole side. So what we would do is take this logo and put it in a circle. So it's gonna eliminate all that. And then just one small strip under it that just says stoves, chimney, masonry. So that'll give, you know, our logo, which is the big thing, and we'll give that, and then the reader board will fill in the blanks.
I like the round,
Yeah.
with the flames.
Give it a little more
I know, I think that was
Are you sure
Yeah.
that that is economically feasible with the sign company?
Well,
Of course it
everything's
is.
economic.
We can do anything.
As long as I open my wallet to them, everything's fine.
We would need an accurate diagram.
Oh, that, yeah.
Updated thing for the record too, okay, you know that, right? I don't know how many copies do you normally get too,
Would this be something for an upcoming meeting, or just something,
for the record,
oh, yeah, I mean,
what do you require, 2 copies?
sure, yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, they could take 5 minutes to sit down and draw something out and put some dimensions on it, could you?
Yeah.
And that would become part of the record tonight, and we could work at that. I mean, what are we talking, a 3-foot diameter circle? Or-
Yeah, probably
You
in
know,
that range.
So if we're,
So this right now,
so if we're talking, let's say, a target number of 50 square feet, is that okay, or just because it's a nice round number as opposed to trying to afford
I like working with 48 personally.
Okay, sure.
he's gotta try. So what I'm saying is we take this and just create a circle, right? And then just
Now,
have.
let's see, well, hang on. So that would be let's say that's a 4x4, so that's 16 square feet. And then this,
Yeah.
that's a 4 by 4.
And that can actually be taken down because you're gonna be yellow, because it's a circle up there.
Okay, whatever it is, we're up, we can verbally, what is
Let's do
it?
this.
Okay.
8 times 3 points.
So we need something, we need them.
Because I want it professionally done and put
It's
it.
20, 30.
30.
Okay, all of that, well, that's fine.
Okay, so
We
that
can
gets
always-
us,
we can always-
so right there, we're
we can
at
add
46.
conditions.
So that's with a,
But I just want, I
4
want to
foot
have something
circle.
clear so we know exactly what we're talking about.
And then we gotta get
So-
into information.
So if you'd have to do like a
Issue.
3.5
People
circle,
don't, because of the 3.1 also, every 8 feet.
so yeah, then you'd have about a foot tall.
So we gotta think of how it
Square
works.
radius, 2 times 2 is 4, times 4, end up like 12.5 feet for a circle.
And we have that objection from the butter.
And so then now you're at 42, so at 8 foot, it'd be a 1 by 8.
Center of it. So we're right here.
Where are you talking?
Will we be at what now?
Can we take a little break?
Let's take a, what do you need, 5 minutes?
I want to grab Gary and I want to go back in here and look at the site on Google.
Okay. Need 10 minutes, 5 minutes?
For 32, we have an extra 16.
Okay.
Somewhere around there.
All right,
Oh, okay.
let's take a 5-minute break,
Okay.
Sure.
and
So,
we're gonna do some Googling, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay,
I got you to lean on.
that's right. I'm good for that.
Take your time, Joe.
say that was,
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Oh, it's-
I want to, what is this?
It is, absolutely.
I want to Google
that was 30 square feet.
the street view.
Could you help us identify something on this picture there? Thank you. Now, don't forget, you're gonna be able to have it
Yeah.
The other thing's
Yeah.
on the board.
Yeah,
It's
no.
fourth below.
They're awful. I went by there.
It was actually-
And it's a shame that they have to be stuck out there. Couldn't send it back when they drove back.
It's too bad they can't put a sign around, something that rotates.
Speedway.
Wouldn't that be distracting?
Las
huh?
Vegas time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we're gonna be able to get a
I'm with you, I know where you're going.
But it actually-
So then this,
You'd probably get a kick out of that. Oh, my other thought was, get rid of all these, pick up this building, put it over here,
Yeah.
and bring the storage unit here.
That's what we gotta do, Mr. Andrews, get rid of fluffies and move your building over
You
to
solved your problem.
I
solve
know,
your issue.
honestly, I've been just trying to build myself enough so that I can call him and make him an offer on that property because
Wouldn't
it's,
that be nice?
it's really the being of our.
Sure like to see an excavator come in and transfer that to a 30-yard dumpster.
There's a feral cat that's beautiful that roams the area, scares everything away, I love it. And that thing will climb up on that roof and walk across, and I'm not joking, I see that roof flexing. I'm like sitting there looking, I'm like, get down, get down.
It's gonna go down one of these days,
Yeah.
for sure.
I remember going in there, they had
They should condemn it, you know.
Gotta be dare to win.
Yep.
let's condemn it. Done.
Yes, please.
Let's make a park there.
Tell them your own idea.
Well, he kind of heard it, yeah. So you can pick up this building and move it over to the corner, knock down fluffies, and then you can bring your storage unit out here.
I have my own because our back warehouse is actually big, right? It's 4,000 square
Yeah,
feet.
it's big.
What I'd like to do is eventually, pipe dreams, if he ever wanted to actually get
Go up.
No, it's basically turn this into a patio area. Because we could patio those fire pits out there.
Wouldn't that be nice?
That would be in a perfect world, but from what I've seen, it's not even in the market. It's not budging off it. He threw a very high price tag on it that was, I think 60% over its value.
This would go what, Curry, realtors,
I think so.
for a while.
I mean, literally,
I used to deal with Steve.
it's assessed at 100, I think, and
Yeah, right.
they're giving $40,000 value to the building. And I'm like, the building's a tear down. And he was asking 179. And I was just like, come down a little, make it realistic, make it, have something to aim for. That's just.
It's too bad he wouldn't even make you an offer being a butter.
I've never met him, heard from him, anything. Like I said, we literally plow that whole thing all winter. We take care of the grass, you know, on the sides, we do the tree work, you know.
Maybe you should stay.
I would, but then it would make my building nicer because it shares the same parking lot. And it is a safety thing. I mean, even the road crews, they
Right,
pull into here to go down Church Street,
right.
snow blow and everything,
School
so.
buses.
Yeah. And if you let the snow get too big right there, it creates a real dangerous situation for both Church Street and me pulling out.
It's a real shame.
But that will affect
Something built that bad and like that.
It's scary. I watched one guy almost to it and ripped the whole door off with no issue on the side. I'm sitting there and, you know, I'm like, what's this guy doing? He walks over and he's just like, pulled the door off, goes inside. I called the cops and I went over and I'm like, and I was like, there's a guy in there. And I'm like, hello? And I'm like, my wife's like, don't go in there, he won't come out.
It's so scary. I mean, even back when it was open, the floors were already, I recall around.
I was watching water just pour through the building.
this
Water
telephone
draining and everything.
I mean, if it owns on a property that you pay taxes on, it's on a main road, and we all know how busy that section is.
The shame part is they really
Why would you do
they
something?
don't have any land. I don't know who buys it, but literally the back of the piece is on Mr. Moon's property line. And to the side, there's like nothing, to the front, there's nothing. So it wasn't a great buy, you know, especially on the Belmont.
Didn't you have picnic tables out there or something?
On the side over there, yeah.
We can go eat your hot dog or something.
We've literally, like, it was a few weeks ago, mowing over there. Copy of that. And I'm like, what is this?
Was it an animal?
No, listen to this. What is that? It was a camper trailer.
So-
There one day.
self-destruct.
Frame was rotting into the ground. I hooked my truck up to it, pulled on it, pulled it out. I was like, yeah, I was like, that thing just sitting under the ground. I mean, there's literally stuff growing off.
You get a kick
So I
out
was
of
mowing
it.
over there the other day, and, you know, a couple weeks ago, and I hit something. I'm like, what the heck was that? So I start like looking, and it's like it's metal. It looks like there's a hitch of some sort.
That just,
So I hooked the truck to it and I pulled on it. It was a whole camper frame
Well, you.
Underneath
under the
trees,
ground. Yeah.
somebody had parked there and just,
and I thought
I don't even know, they probably just, this is a good place to store this, and they just dumped it out. You know,
Oh,
and
well,
then the overgrowth, you know, pretty soon you can't see it anymore, but there's all kinds
Joe,
of.
did you
Yeah,
finish what
yeah.
you needed?
We hauled it out.
Yeah.
Put it back on again?
yes, yeah, I saw what I wanted
We'll
to
call the
see.
meeting back to order again, 7:30. And continue on where we were. Okay, so what did you discover?
Okay, I was primarily looking at where the sign was proposed to go
Yep.
relative to Mr. Moon's house.
Yeah, that's what we were trying to look at.
I had mentioned it earlier, and he mentioned that Angelo had also acknowledged that it would be possible to put a shield on the south side of the sign. And sign people creating metal things all the time. I don't know why they couldn't put a shield extending out 18 inches on each. Actually, you only have to put it on one side of the sign, really.
There's a window, just
I'm sorry?
that's the window there, just in case you didn't get a good look on the maps. I actually tried to get a look
Oh.
from where the sign is too.
Okay, well, we're looking at an aerial view, but I see what, yeah, that's, but a shield would do a lot to dissuade light diffusion, if you will.
Yep.
And that in conjunction with, restricting the changing of the signage wording to once a minute, no greater than once a minute, and to fade in and out, not to all of a sudden start flashing. That, definitely against that.
Yeah.
What did you come up with for a drawing?
I got a rendering at 48 square feet.
Good. Yeah, you sure do.
I'm not gonna do steel shop anymore, I'm going on the sign design.
You did have quite a bit of input for that, didn't you?
I just assume the financial aspect of that is workable. Try not to get you in a situation to cost you an arm and a leg there. Signs aren't cheap as it is.
Yeah.
Huh.
Cutting that out.
So you're almost 8
Marks.
feet high,
Marks and
from the
right.
bottom of
Right.
the sign to the top.
Yes.
And the width is, I see 6 feet.
6 feet for that bottom sign. The bottom sign is the 8 foot.
Yeah, so this is the reader, it's gonna be 8, and then there's a 1-foot high box sign right here that's 6 feet. And then the 12-foot area, which is a 4-foot circle, basically.
What's gonna be in here?
Solid, it's gonna say stoves, chimney, masonry.
Oh, this,
Yeah, just a
type of
plate on
document,
it. I
just
think it
permanent wording.
might have it on the back of my shirt, I'm not sure.
Permanent wording.
Yeah, permanent wording, that's just a box sign.
And then, 4-foot height, what for a readable.
You remember how you used pi r squared?
Yeah, it's 12.5. 12.56.
All right, so that puts us at 14.5 square feet.
Yeah.
Whew.
Well, that's quite a downside compared to 65. That's, it helps.
Considering the increase that they have already been allowed from 12 square feet up to 40 square feet, you'll have that automatically. And now we can have another 8 on top of that.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of lenience in there. That's, that dense of a business district, if you will.
I just had a thought. Can I see that? You can make a wood stove in the face.
Trust me, I tried to think of ways to pretty up that post that's out there, and at one point I was like, let's just take the fork truck and put a stove on top.
Put one on the roof. Is this all gonna be brick?
Yeah.
Foundation masonry.
Take it on the side of a truck and park it out front for that matter.
Okay. And the proposed location is workable for you guys, I assume?
I don't really see a lot of alternatives. I mean, the only thing that, you know, and I hate to,
You can't put it in the middle of the parking lot
Well,
because trucks coming.
that's the other problem. It seems to me like when Moon's was there was a sign in the middle of that parking lot.
I
I seem to be.
don't recall there was a sign on the front of the building.
Yeah,
I remember the one on the front.
But I could swear there was one, because when I used to go there and get my movies, and I bought my first VCR there, as a matter of fact.
Oh, they're old.
Thank you.
That's back when they had the tapes.
I've never personally seen any renderings with it yet, but there is a piece of metal that's kind of like further in on the parking lot, that there was probably something there.
You know, speaking of that, I have photographs that I took when I was in their home, of the entire town I took. And,
How do you feel about it?
well, this would care, not that it hasn't been on this, I'm gonna look when I get home. But
Yeah,
I could
see what it
swear
does.
there was an obstruction there when you pulled in back then.
The base.
There was something probably like where the sign is now, probably about 10 to 12 feet in, into the parking lot, because like I said, there's
What's
something
the actual
metal.
dimensions on that base?
So look at that base.
I don't see a code out there.
It wasn't a lighted sign, though, was it? I
I
don't recall the sign that he's talking
Oh,
about.
here it is, yeah, 2'8".
That's really not that.
It would have said Radio Shack or
And I think when you have,
Well, this is a rough
Video
drawing.
Choice.
Right, I know, but even on this, I
Video
thought.
choice.
I think when you have the brick, you kind of want it to have a little bit of mass. If it gets too narrow, I think the brick doesn't really serve a purpose.
Looks like you just had one very sad.
Yeah.
All right, I'm just gonna draft up something on this.
Chairman?
Draft away.
May I offer a comment? You brought up location just moments ago. Thought maybe that the board would want to, in a motion or not, at some point, just maybe say a location to be determined by through site plan review with the planning board. Reason being, while you may be okay with this site, if you created a motion that, bound them to that site, and then through negotiation with the planning board, another site was identified and approved, the way you word your motion or notice of decision may allow for them not to have to come back and sort of leave no loose ends on that matter.
We not have to come back to us.
You're right, or I'm not sure how.
Why do they have to
Would-
come back?
If you said the zoning board approves a sign of such and such square footage with a 1 minute interval shielded from the Mr. Moon's property in the location proposed on the plan submitted, then essentially the variance is confined to that location, whereas if in your notice of decision, if it were to be approved, I'm not saying that's not gonna happen, if you said, these things, 1 minute, 48 square feet, shielded, and then said in a location to be determined through site plan review with the planning board, then there's no, sort of loose ends or puzzle pieces that don't fit together in the event that the planning board identifies a different location.
Okay, I hear what you're saying. I have a question though.
Yes.
Do you feel there are any options at all reasonably available to you as far as this location?
I'm sorry?
Do you feel that there are other options available to you? If you went before the planning board,
Basically,
you're kind of set in where you want to put it, right?
On that line to line. So basically, The one sign's right on the line, that one's near that line, it's nothing but pavement.
So what is the planning board? They can only say yes or no, I mean, that's about what it comes down to, if you wanna be, you're being put in the position of having to accept it on that basis, and,
I still, I'm sorry.
Well, if we go with the allowed setbacks, then we do not have to go to 24, correct?
I would say that's true, yeah.
That's right.
that would be true,
So,
yeah.
so then I would think that would be, part
I
of
was
the
gonna
stipulation
say,
is, as long
you
as
know,
we're
we
within.
can go with the proposed location as long as we're outside the setbacks, you know?
Correct.
But they're not, right? I mean, the proposed location
It's
is,
in the setback.
right,
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
how is it not?
It's
It's
not.
20-foot side setback and 20-foot
Oh,
front
The
setback.
front setback, it's the overhang of the sign that's into the side setback.
Okay, well, the side setback
We
is.
determined that earlier. Okay, from the property line, 6 feet, yeah, that's gotta be changed.
Well, can you change that? Are you
Yeah,
good?
You'd have to move that in further.
I can push it right to the edge of where that parking lot is on that island, and that would be at 6 feet, I believe.
Oh, okay. No,
So as I,
it has to be more than 6 feet.
20 feet.
Gotta be 20
from the
feet.
sides.
In order to avoid
Sides.
going to the planning board, yeah.
Otherwise, you gotta go to site plan.
But I think, from this board standpoint, if you approve the sign as we've drawn it and the other stipulations of the message center, then if we decide to put it within the setback, then it's our responsibility.
Yeah,
To go to the planning board and get
absolutely.
that straightened out.
That's right.
That's sure, that would be the option, you can go to the planning board anyway if you want, and see if you can put it where you want.
Yep.
If they say no, then you just have to bring it inside, bring it out of the setbacks.
Exactly.
That would be the, way for it to go. How much you
Okay,
want?
so let's summarize what we got then. We got a redesign, a new picture of the, redesign of the sign, totaling 48 square feet, Plus or minus?
25.
48.5?
Yes.
Thank you. 48.5 square feet. And it will be shielded on the south side
Yes.
with illumination, with a reader message board rotating at 1 minute intervals,
Yes.
no less than 1
No,
minute
that's the one
intervals.
that you're-
And it will not be encroaching on either side or front setbacks,
No,
No.
no.
or with no setback encroachment.
No, maybe no condition on that would be the
Yeah.
best way to go, not,
Location is determined by site plan.
but maybe not, because,
Unless.
Wait a minute, now see, now you're arguing with what I just said. I said if we're outside the setbacks, then they don't have to go to the planning board.
okay, I'm sorry,
That's why I'm trying to
I'm sorry.
stipulate
okay.
that in compliance, or let's say in compliance with side and front setbacks, okay? We'll just put it that way.
Okay.
And if they decide not to comply with the setbacks, then they have to go to the planning board. That's what Mr. Sullivan was saying earlier, and he's absolutely right.
Okay.
As long as we
I'm-
say in compliance with side and front setbacks, we're good. You agree?
It's messy to say it that way.
Yeah, that's complicated to me.
Right, I think your ruling should just be size and message center.
Shielded on south side.
Shielded on the
48.5.
south side.
As far as
stipulations.
location, be the location as
Okay,
To be determined.
determined by the planning board, should it be placed in the setbacks.
Should,
I see what
the
he's-
location should be per code or approved by.
That's what he's
The
getting
planning
at.
board.
He's trying to say if we meet that, then we don't have to go to the planning board, whereas
That's
if
right.
that way it says we have to.
But the easiest way to do it is to not not say anything about it in the motion, but whatever
Well, that's
works.
his responsibility to know.
Correct.
That's his responsibility to do.
I know.
And we won't
Just
get a
trying to be
permit,
inclusive
we
here.
won't get the permit anyways if we're in the setback, so.
So does that summarize what we're dealing with then? Or did I miss anything?
The only thing I think that was discussed that I didn't hear brought up in your list of motions was, and maybe that's intentional, maybe you want to keep it that way, but was that the idea that there would be some dimming at night, and that was offered by the applicant. I don't know if the board deems necessary to follow up on that through a condition. Maybe not, maybe yes, maybe no.
We can go there because it is a variance approval. I mean, it's only the site plan, right? But I mean, if you want to put something like that, how do you measure the value of the dimming, if you will? Is it percentage-wise or
Yes.
lumen-wise?
If you start getting into lumens, that's kind of an inaccurate science with one of these kind of boards. I would say, 20% of capacity is probably a good nighttime reading or percentage. Like I said, during the daytime, they typically run that even.
Mhm.
So we found when we start taking lumens readings that from 40% down to 10%, there's no change in the lumens, basically. So we kind of settled on 20% as a good number to be at at night. You start getting into the ambient light, basically, when you get down that low.
Mhm.
It all depends on how far you are from the sign when you take your reading. We've done a lot of extensive testing in parking lots and trying to see to get educated on it, basically.
Brings me to another question from my past experience. I assume this is one that's going to be controlled by your computer, from your computer in the shop?
Yes. Yep.
And that's the kind I'm familiar
Yep,
with.
yep.
So you can set it for what you want it to say, and the timing,
Yep.
and the light, the degree of lighting, and the time when you change automatically, so you don't have to
Did
do
we
it.
set, I'm sorry, I wasn't listening, but did we set any times for lighting or dimming of the light? Did you discuss that? No?
So they haven't really talked about it.
How many do you?
I am open till, depending on time of year, 5 or 6. I mean, we could set it so like once the, we can call it dusk, the dusk drop is 20%, and we can go on the averages of when shutdown is, so if we're looking at, this time of year is between 8 and 8:30, I set it for worst case scenario of 7:45, and then it drops down, so that way we're prepared for it to happen.
I think you're just using the term dusk is approximately.
Well, technically, they have a light sensor on them, because when it's a cloudy day, they don't run quite as bright as well. They do have a built-in sensor. So that's, I think, he's a reasonable man with regards to this board. I mean, just the fact that he's talking like this to you, if you've got complaints, or if you've got that fog-lit night and the thing is blinding somebody, I think he's, more than willing to look at how he's running it.
That's
To
not a
be,
condition on the illumination, dimming or going.
Are you looking for just a condition here? To be adjusted to a lower percentage, or lower
intensity,
light sensitive, is that what you call
intensity.
it? In light intensity at dusk?
It's gonna be a pain, just like setting the lights in my house on the automatic timer, just constantly moving it.
Or just bring a flashlight.
Oh my gosh, it's getting dark earlier now, I gotta change the timer again.
Well, like you said, it's gonna do it automatically anyway. so
Yeah.
that's,
What are the conditions do we have? We got a 48.5 square foot illuminated sign with message board and shielding on the south end. And one condition that I've written down is the message board will rotate no less than 1 minute intervals, at no less than 1 minute intervals.
well, message board will not be changeable at less than 1 minute.
No animation or moving.
Yes,
Fade on, message, fade off.
That'd be changeable. Unless with no animation, right?
Mm-hmm. That's how we kind of go without saying if you're doing not much in the way of animation.
Be surprised if Marina would come up with some, sure.
I know, I was thinking. Fireflies.
They're very slow fireflies, it's only once a
She
day.
spends a lot of time in Las
Oh,
Vegas
yeah.
on the strip out there. Okay, I'm sorry. Don't mean to embarrass you.
That's
We won't. What other conditions did we have? What were we talking about?
If you want at any point, I can read what I have.
Hold on a minute. Sure. Do we have any other conditions? Location and per plan?
Location
Yeah,
is,
it's the fancy one.
Oh.
location to be determined by planning board
Okay.
if within the setback areas.
No, we were just going to, we were just going to indicate that the location would be in compliance with the setback.
Oh, and you, you could go.
Okay, I've got 2 copies of the revised plan that we submitted for lot of files. Location, do we,
Where you go?
Not 20.
20 foot.
Yeah, we're at 18.
The standards call for 20 feet in the
Yeah.
commercial district, regional commercial.
Okay. I don't know, just throw this together, so that's it right there.
Okay.
48.5 square foot illuminated sign with message board and shield on the south end.
Internally illuminated sign.
Internally illuminated sign. Type name. Okay. With shielding on the south end?
And shielding on the south side, south end, okay, that's close.
Yeah, well, it would be an end.
Well, when we refer to the shielding, how much would that shielding extend, like, from each side of the sign? 24 inches?
We could do 24.
And that ought to pretty much.
But are we just concerned about shielding the message center? Or are we concerned about the entire sign?
Shielding from, as you would be standing behind the sign, looking towards Route 3, and looking up at the side of the sign, the shielding would be extending from the sign to the east, which is what would protect Mr. Moon's visibility.
So you're saying there'd be a shield
Not there. Well,
here, yeah, coming this way, be coming out. So it'd be coming here, and we do one here, and then something here? Or are we just concerned with the brightness of this?
I think I'm just really concerned with the brightness of this. This
Right.
is gonna be fixed all the time, that's.
Exactly.
And it's gonna have color to it, right?
Yes.
So
Yep.
it's really not gonna be a bright background to the thing.
Right.
So
Right.
that's gonna be
Okay, so
I think
it's,
it's
so it's
probably-
basically just a shield for the
a
message
shield for
board.
the reader board itself,
Yep.
itself, and That would be my primary
Because
concern.
the others would be sort of subdued anyways, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So, okay, so we have message board, will be changeable at no less than 1 minute intervals with no animation. Illumination will be adjusted to lower intensity at dusk.
Good.
2 copies of the revised plan be submitted from the files. And the location of the sign to be in compliance with setback regulations.
I think we kind of cover everything that we talked about. I assume Barlow is going to
That's all you get.
draw up the new
That's all you get.
condition.
So now we have to determine whether we're going to
But
approve it or deny it.
You might actually have to get your
What are you looking at?
What? What you talking about?
That's where we're at, approval or denial,
Well, that's the
which way
motion.
you gonna go?
That's the motion, right?
Oh, did I make the motion?
No, I say that is the motion. I've been wanting to make the motion, but you can make it to all I can.
Well, it appears like we're all set on that. There you go.
You want me to make the motion?
Yeah, I don't wanna do it.
Yeah, you wrote it
I've done all the work anyway.
And I appreciate it.
Can you read it all right, Joe?
Okay, I think so. Make a motion to approve the request for a variance for
You can just say case 15.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for.
09.
Case 1509, for a freestanding sign, to approve a 48.5 square foot internally illuminated sign with message board and shielding on south end. Conditions, following conditions would be,
Excuse me,
what's that?
can I modify that
I guess.
motion? How about if we just say shielded message board? No, that we are doing this. That's one, I'm sorry. I was
Okay.
trying to, sorry. Go
Okay,
ahead,
let
Jim.
me just go back to the beginning here. To approve the 48.5 square foot internally illuminated sign with message board and shielding on the south side. The conditions being that the message board will be changeable at no less than once a minute, or no less than 1 minute intervals, not here, with no animation. Number 2 would be, illumination would be adjusted to a lower intensity at dusk. 2 copies of a revised plan I want to change it a little bit.
Go ahead.
2 copies of the revised drawings,
Yeah,
as,
right.
okay?
Yeah.
Other than revised drawings for the sign to be submitted for our files, town's files. And the location of sign to be in compliance with setback regulations as necessary. And now you can, I'm gonna shut up.
Well, I don't
So
care
that's the
about it.
I
motion.
do, yeah. Shall I read it back?
Sure, go ahead.
You want a copy?
At least you can read your writing, because I'm reading his writing.
Motion to approve a variance in case 1509 for a 48.5 square foot internally illuminated freestanding sign with message board, following conditions.
That's shielding.
Shielding on the south side, I guess, yes, that is there, sorry. Internally illuminated sign with shielding on the south side with the following conditions. 1 minute interval minimum shall be maintained on the message board with no animation. Light intensity shall be reduced at dusk. 2 copies of revised drawings shall be submitted to the town for files, and the location shall comply with setback regulations.
That's right. Go back to the number 1 condition again, what did you say that was?
I have minimum of 1 minute interval, change interval on the message board shall be maintained.
Message board will be changeable at no less than 1 minute intervals. That's what I gave you,
Okay.
and then with no animation.
Message board shall be changed.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Seconded by Kathy. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Right.
Opposed? It's good.
And
Excellent.
we have come to an agreement.
Yes, we have.
Skidded by, skidded through it, barely.
Thank you very much.
Who has the diagram?
Appreciate your,
Yeah, I could give you one too.
Yes.
thanks a lot for.
It's good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're gonna come out nice.
I'll just stop by to see you,
Okay.
We'll do that.
see if you wanna
You
join
won't
the
miss
parade
us.
again
Thank
this
you,
year.
Mr. Moon.
Yeah.